Welcome to Liot's Bay. We're two good friends that spend a lot of time in the woods. My name is Matthew, and my comrade joining me is Jack. That sounds very cringy. I'm leaving that in. The podcast will have the banter left in. We hang out in the woods like all the time. There's a trail system right next to my house. Like if I leaned over a bit, I could see part of it. And I spend a lot of time in there with a few friends, and Jack does the same. But Jack lives near a different other trail system, so we hang out there. And I also am doing a project to clean up the trails for social studies, so I spend quite a bit of time in the woods. The topics and stuff of this podcast is our experiences in the woods and what we've heard and what we've seen, and just about the woods, how we feel about it, and then if there was a niche of it, it'd be bushcraft. Alright. That's all the,
biking more so.
I mean, biking's a part of it, but, there's nothing interesting to talk about biking. It's just beautiful. It's really all there is to say. Alright, so, we prepared a story that we were both in. You probably should add things to it as well, with...
Yeah, I'm not gonna read off, any sort of script, I'm just gonna just go for it.
The trail system near us isn't very large, and it's very commonly used for dog walking. So, you don't expect anything weird to be going on there. Which, there is some weird stuff that has happened there, definitely. And a few people have said that. So I'll explain a few things like that later, but I'll explain an experience we had first. So, it was midday. It was midsummer, midday, warm, and we were going along the trails. And there's one really nice spot where it has a whole bunch of dips on a bike. We bike a lot in the woods. So we were going to it, and then I looked to my right and I noticed, hey, there's kind of a rough trail here, which at the time we didn't know. If we just looked to the left in that same spot, we would have seen him where... Well, that trail at the time was very overgrown, but now it's cleared out and it leads into another trail, and it's really cool because it's a new part of Liot's Bay. We call the place Liot's Bay. It's very nice, but the right, we went over there and we found a abandoned wheelbarrow. It was entirely rusted, and Jack, you remember it. It was halfway in the water almost. It was right on the edge. The trees around it look pretty young, so I'm assuming it was only 200 years old. So here's where the first creepy-ish thing happens. So we notice, hey, there's a bag over there. So we walk over to the bag and we check it out. It just rained the day before, and there was two things with the bag. One, it was a zebra stripe, like a reusable Walmart bag or a market basket bag. It was just made of plastic, and it was just sturdy plastic. And inside there was bug spray and a lime flavored Gatorade. Then we looked at the jacket. Jack was standing right next to me. And we touched the jacket, and it was very absorbable. It was very fluffy. It would have absorbed a lot of water, and it rained the day before. So we expected it to be, wet on the inside, because it looked very dry. But then when we touched it, it wasn't wet at all. And then we grabbed it, and it wasn't wet at all. And nothing else about the bag was wet, which is really weird because it rained the day before.
Looking back, it was probably just some guy camping.
See, but that would be the logical explanation if I didn't go back there quite a bit and it stayed there for a good 3 weeks. So it was kind of creepy. Yeah. And it never got wet. So that was kind of strange. And when we found it, there was shit in the bag. There was pine cones. It wasn't pine cones, but it was random forest stuff that clearly fell in it. But it would have taken a few days to get any of that in there, especially where the forest tree and stuff was located. And then we walked down, and it was along the bank of a river area leading to a bridge that we walked over the bridge just a bit before. So we walked along that stream. It's a very wooded area. It's young-ish trees, but it's very wooded. So we walked down, and then we came along chicken wire. At the time, we didn't know it was there, so it freaked us out a bit. We found chicken wire and a weird formation of large rocks. And we ended up finding like a trap. It was very clearly like a wicker, like a strong wicker, because wicker breaks easily, but like wickered together trap where if something went in, it would clench it up. And that was very clearly very new. And then maybe 30 feet away from it, there was a military theme setup. It wasn't military, very clearly, but everything had camo. It had a dog tag thing that showed the location of like a return address, and it had like a sleeping mat out. It was a weird sleeping mat. It was like very absorbent. That wasn't wet either, so we just chalked it up to a dude camping, but it was there for a long time. And there was no signs of anybody being around there. So it was kind of weird. And then, so that doesn't sound too bad, you know? Right next to it, it hooked up to another part of the trail, so I jumped across like a 8 or so foot gap. There was a bit of a hill, so I could jump down. It was like a down jump, and then I scrambled up the other side of the hill. It's like a valley. And Jack was being a boomer, and he just walked back to the trail, and we got back to our bikes at like the same time. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that nobody took it, because there was a few people walking by, even though that part was out, like an out part of the trail. And then we talked to a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
I remember there being like as we're heading back to our bikes, the way that we like walked back to the like trails, it was like slightly off from where we left our bikes. So I thought that like our bikes got stolen or something, and then we just looked slightly to the left and they were just right there.
That would have been great. I mean, it was like I was riding a bad bike that wasn't even meant for the woods, but you were riding your primary bike, so. While we were walking back, saw a nearby dude. And, I think his wife was with him, and he had a dog. So, walk up to him and we start chatting. I'm like, hey, there's kind of weird stuff back there. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of weird over there too. And he pointed to another area. And then there was a dog that was going haywire a bit away. So we were chatting about how weird it is. And he was like, yeah, I've seen some spooky stuff in these woods. And, we never, like, pressed him about it. We probably should have. Windows, no. We were like, alright, and then we just went to the cool part and bike. Now that's basically the end of the story. Except the fact, there's 2 more things about it. Number 1, the less spooky thing. I have an uncle. He grew up around here, and he spent a lot of time in those woods, especially at night. His family wasn't too great. He just didn't want to be at home, so he was, out and about. So he would be in those woods a lot because they're very accessible. And he said he saw some crazy shit, like blood everywhere and like some weird things. And I pressed him a bit, but like it was like, yeah, it all happened like 10 years ago, so didn't remember too much. So that's the moderately spooky thing. I'll press him about it later if we decide to do a podcast again. But the thing is, it's connected to a mass grave. The direction I said before, if we went to the left, that would travel straight through 3 different mass graves that held probably around anywhere from 60 to 80 people. And I'm pretty sure there was another 2 that we didn't even really know about because they were more overgrown than the rest. That part, those mass graves are clearly 100 at least years old. So I'm assuming it could be quite a bit older. So I'm assuming it was from a plague that happened. And they didn't know about germs, so they were like, alright, we're just gonna bury, because that hospital was open during the plague. So they were just like, alright, we're gonna bury them in the back away from everything. And you have to go through that area to connect to the most major trail. It goes off and then it splinters off into it, which we thought when we went back on the major trail that it was nothing. So those 80 or so dead people, decomposed bodies, were about 40 feet away from over there, where everybody who I've talked to about seeing spooky things have said it happened right there. And I've seen some weird stuff out there. I've seen more people over there. I've seen some weird stuff over there, but that's a story for another day, you know? So is it haunted? I don't know. I should call Shure or Kai or whatever you want to call him. And we should do a ghost hunt thing because she was really into that. But I don't know. I go out to the trails every day and I don't see anything creepy enough to not make me feel bad. Jack doesn't spend nearly as much time there, so he's also generally quiet.
Maybe once a month or so.
Yeah, I mean with COVID, it's a lot. I only started going there during COVID. It was mid-COVID summer, but then he would come over every weekend and we would go, and then it spiked up again and it got cold and we just didn't hang out at all. And then we just hung out a weekend ago because I had a friend over. That's all that happened. That's the only time he spent over in half a year, It's been half a year since summer, which is kind of weird. Let me check that.
I think summer starts in less than, I think it's in 2 months or so.
It happens in, I have a countdown timer met up for it. It happens in, wait, people want to talk to me. Oh, hi Andrew, we're doing a podcast. It happens in exactly, come on, so many tabs. 1 month, 27 days, 0 hours, 26 minutes, 13 seconds. I love this countdown clock.
You could have just said about 2 months.
Yeah, but being specific is cool. And reverse ambiguous.
I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Yeah, magic words. I like your words, Magic Man. So, there's not much else to say for this one. Jack, have you seen anything weird around your friends? And think up a story because I want to eat tater tots.
So for my trails, it's at the end of the road. There's a little conservation land. There's a man-made little lake thing, and then right by it there's just a set of little hills and dips that you can kind of use it as a mini skate park, but it's just kind of a bunch of hills. So one day I'm going there, and then all of a sudden it just got transformed into a legit skate park. There's someone dug a giant pit and ramp and all that. There's some sort of wooden bridge thing. It was cool, but I mean it's supposed to be a conservation land and all that. And also, I don't know if it was the same people that did that, but on a tree there's just like a sign screwed in it said something about like Andover Conservation Land, which is weird considering we're in Duxbury.
Yeah. That is kind of weird. Not exactly spooky, but a story, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's enough for a podcast. Should make like 15, 17 minutes.
It's
I'm gonna
alright.
just stop it now. Well, we've done 25 minutes, but there's also been in-between banter with it.
Yeah, but like, it feels like we've been doing this for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, because it's hella fun just telling stories. I can see how long? 24 minutes, 29 seconds.
I've just been playing some sort of Roblox paintball game this entire time.
I've just been playing a Roblox game. It's very Jack of you.
I forgot how fun this game is. I used to play it a bunch and then I just stopped.
What game is it?
I don't know the name of it. It's like Big Paintball or something like that.
Big Ball Incorporated.
Paintball.
And now me and Jack talking about potatoes for 5 minutes. Definitely not eating tater tots.
Dude, tater tots are so good though.
Yeah.
Have you ever
So
had
good.
poutine?
No, I've not eaten white pudding. I can't tell.
It's like tater. I think like tater tots, cheese, and gravy. It is really good.
It does sound really good. Sounds familiar. You know what? We're changing the podcast. We're gonna talk about tater tots. Why are tater tots so good?
Because they're potatoes, and anything with potatoes are awesome.
That's completely correct. I can respect it.
I should make tater tots sometime.
Yeah. We just have we have an air fryer. We just shove shit in it.
Oh, I have like a fryolator.
Air fryers are the best.
Mm.
Air fryers are like the only way to reheat things without it becoming like soggy.
I have a toaster oven. I just use that.
That's probably like the second best way, yeah. It's just a podcast. Logistics of toaster oven. Why are tater tots so good? We sponsor tater tots. We don't get anything out of it. It's just tater tots are good.